Evolution Psychology by Sarah Campos, Courtney Kelly, Karen Oliveira, Ingrid Pena, and Melissa Taylor. Evolution is a gradual process in which something changes into a different and usually a more complex or better form. Evolution is the process by which an organism becomes more refined over time and in response to its environment. The observational biological phenomenon of evolution means that the changes in the frequencies of inherited traits in population gene pools between generations. Evolution is a gradual process in which something changes into a different and usually more complex or better form. Evolution is the process by which an organism becomes more refined over the time and in response to its environment. The observational biological phenomenon of evolution means that the changes in the frequencies of inherited traits in population gene pools between generations. For example, if you follow a single population and sample the frequencies of inherited traits within that population at some interval exceeding the lifespan of generation, you'll get different frequencies. The differences may include some new traits or traits that have vanished entirely. Who is Darwin? Darwin was a British scientist in the late 19th century who traveled aboard a ship, the Beagle, to the Galapagos Islands in order to study the biology of the islands. He spent months observing the animals on the islands and eventually came back to England, where he wrote his famous book on the origin of the species by means of natural selection. That was the first book in support of the theory of evolution. Darwin's contribution to evolution, the 5 steps of evolution. Variation, difference within the species, example, birds, they come in different shapes, sizes, and colors. Different reproduction, some can reproduce more than others, whereas some cannot. For example, some women can have babies while others may not be able to reproduce. Hence, heritability, genes are passed on through offspring. Example, through generations, genetics are passed from both parents to the offspring. Survival, some people will live while others will die. For example, some humans have the abilities for survival while others lack that trait. Natural selection, traits are passed and on for survival. Example, in an ecosystem, some giraffes have long necks and others have short ones. If something causes low-lying shrubs to die out, the giraffes with short necks would not get enough food. After a few generations, all the giraffes would have long necks. What's the role of sex in evolution? In order for a species to survive, they must reproduce, so they must get it on. Certain attributes like attractiveness and access to resources motivate people's selection in a mating partner. Our ancestors have been adapt behaviors that have evolved and allowed our species to survive.
An important aspect of evolutionary psychology is mate selection. In a university in Singapore, they did a study on mate preference and physical attractiveness. What they did is they took participants from the university and they were going to have them go speed dating online. So they chose the target partners, which the people they were going to be paired up with, from local advertisements, and the target participants had to take pictures of themselves without smiling, square-faced, and against a white background. So the female pictures were rated by men, and the male pictures were rated by females. And then they were, from their ratings, they were made into they were put into low and moderate attractive categories. So what they did is the targets were assigned to sessions and the participants were assigned to sessions as well, and they were able to meet, and they participated into 20-minute online exchange speed dating. And before they went on the date, the participants completed a mate preference survey of how important attractiveness is to them in determining a long-term relationship. So after these 20-minute sessions, they took another survey and they rated the attractiveness and interest in exchanging emails with their target participants. And what the study found was that men were more interested in higher attractiveness in long-term relationships, but when they didn't, than women, but they didn't have a preference when they were just going to do short-term casual sex or casual sexual relationships.